Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Ecommerce Marketing Chats with myself, Charles, and Jimmy. Jimmy, how's it going, mate?
Oh, good. I think we would have kicked this episode off about 10 minutes earlier if I had a microphone that was working. So, yeah, I mean, everyone talks up those Shure microphones, but we've both had nothing but troubles with it. So, Rode, if you're out there listening and want a microphone sponsor and want both of us to swap, I will more than happily do it.
Yeah, bloody useless, I think is the word for it. I gave up using. There's some free publicity for these guys. Samsung, which is a tiny little microphone, but does the job. Does the job. So
Just, yeah, with the Shure microphone, I've had nothing but volume issues, and it's so hard to change. You'll be speaking to it, and someone can hear like this tiny little mouse in the background. It's just useless. Honestly, I can't wait to get rid of the thing.
well, yeah, I think in the earlier episodes, I was having issues with it, wasn't I? It just wasn't connecting. So yeah, clearly needs to figure. They need to sort their microphones out because
Yeah, I think to kick us off, Charles, a bit on organic chat again. So last week I said that I had tested that Bloggle app on Shopify. So I showed you the article, and this week, like it's that article's already getting traffic. So
it's great.
it's a good start, and then straight away your mind goes, because to be fair, that article was pretty much completely AI generated and then slightly human edited and then very heavily humanly formatted for Shopify. So it wasn't just cut and paste blog text. It was, color blocks, images, some videos were put in. So there was a bit of formatting involved, and that was honestly the longest part. But yeah, the content was punched out in probably 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah. Well, that we literally talked about this last week, didn't we? We said that like use AI content, but take the timeline of the page. That should be the focus as well, not just create the AI content and stick it on a page that just doesn't look good. I know for a fact that you spent a lot of time working on that page, so yeah, it does make a difference.
Yeah, it took a bit longer than anticipated, and even though the app has been great, it kind of it did crash a few times under like as you're getting down to I think I had over 150 like content blocks on there. So once you start getting past like 100, it would the page would freeze, and I was having to wait a bit. But the end result, if you can get through that, it's great compared to like I hadn't seen anything else that could kind of compared to that. And what got me over the line was being able to simply put kind of product tiles in the actual article that are on the website. So even though it's an article, you're also highlighting the e-commerce products that you actually have on your site as well. So it was it was great for that. It's a great first test, and I think in the first week of it being live, I think it's got 15 clicks, and then straight away, in the back of my mind, it's like, okay, well, if someone spent like 2 months doing this and just punched out 150 articles, if they could get 10 views each in the first, week, it's 1,500 new visitors to your website. So I think that's a bit of ambitious thinking, but like that's where my mind goes with this content stuff. But the longer part to it is definitely the formatting, making it look good, making sure it's a good user experience. But I was actually pleasantly surprised to see it getting traffic so early. I didn't think like I thought, oh, I'll check back in like 2 months and it might have like a couple of clicks. But to be generating traffic in the first week, I was kind of pleasantly surprised. I don't know, that might be the norm, Charles. I don't do a lot of kind of content marketing, so I was expecting to wait a little bit longer. What kind of, like, if someone's writing a blog article, what expectations can people expect? And in saying that too, I think the expectations should be different for someone that's got a brand new site versus someone that's been in the
Yeah.
e-commerce space for a few years. Like this client that I did this article on has been in the e-commerce space on this particular site since 2021, I think. So a couple of years under the belt. It's not a fresh site. So I think if you've got a fresh site, I think you'll probably find it harder to rank things quickly, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. Typically the site that is on what I would class as like an age domain, like it's been around for a while and there's an existing business behind it, you're likely going to get better results faster compared to a site that's just starting out and it's a few weeks old. So yeah, it's a good sign, as I said to you in the message that I sent the other day to you, it's a good sign that you're getting traffic almost immediately. That usually means that it's going to compound and it's you've hit the home run. You know, if a blog gets published and I'm seeing like very few impressions and like zero clicks, I'm like, okay, this is going to be a bit of an uphill battle now. We need to figure out why it's not performing and make some further tweaks. Maybe just the content is just not resonating or the quality of it good enough or it's not in depth enough for the audience or for Google to want to rank it. So yeah, that's a really positive sign. But you're right in the respect that it does vary on the domain. A site that's got what we call like a higher domain authority, which is really kind of your SEO score, overarching SEO score. The higher the domain authority, typically the better results it's going to get. That's not always the case though. There's
And
domain
from what,
authority can be manipulated, but that's a whole other subject.
yeah, from the basic things I understand about domain authority, it's basically a calculation of how many backlinks are going to the site. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why it can be manipulated because a lot of the domain or a lot of the soft showcase domain authority are just taking it off sometimes just the volume of backlinks rather than the quality of backlinks, which is what Google look at. They don't just look at the volume, they're looking at are these links of quality. So, like I said, it can be manipulated, hence why it's not always. You shouldn't take it as gospel that just because a site has got high domain authority, you're going to have a much better chance of ranking it versus another site that doesn't have, has a lower score.
Yeah, on the backlinks, we spoke a little bit about them last week. I was kind of just asking some different people like what are the quickest wins for backlinks, and one interesting one that popped up, which may be like really beneficial for kind of retail type stores that I typically work with, because I typically work with stores that have thousands of SKUs, so usually they're selling other people's products. But a quick win on the backlink front, they mentioned was going to the supplier and putting you as a stockist on their website if you're not already. So I thought that was a good shout because the clients that I'm thinking of, like they stock a lot of big brands, and I had a look at some of them, and they do have like a stockist list that my client wasn't on currently, and those sites have really high authority, so the links would probably be beneficial. So something that I'll probably look into a bit more over the next month. It's not pressing at the top of my priority list at the moment, but I've definitely noted it down to have a look at and at least let the client know and draft up kind of an email template that they can send to their suppliers to say, hey, we'd like to be recognized in your stockist list and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I might be able to report back on that in 2 months or so. It's funny because like I've only ever done Google Ads, and I have one client where I'm basically it's called a digital marketing manager partnership. So they basically bring me on to act as their marketing manager for their brand. So I still do the Google Ads for them, but I'm doing everything else, but also bringing on other freelancers to work on this brand's website. And the business owner just has one contact point, and that's me. But because honestly, a lot of business owners don't speak the marketing language that these agencies are talking or other freelancers are talking. So yeah, it's been a really good working relationship, and we've grown monthly revenue significantly. I've actually enjoyed it because it's added a bit of variety into kind of my own working day, and kind of takes me back to a time where I was working in-house and doing everything but in-house for a company, kind of doing everything for that company and still managing my Google Ads clients as well. So it's been a really good balance for me, and I've been able to learn like a few little hacks and different ways to improve things by doing other things, and then letting my clients know about kind of other things that we're discovering as well. But Also, these chats that we have once a week, I think I learned some. I think I at least take away one or two things from our conversations every week that can help me improve things. Like yesterday, we were talking. I mean, sorry, last week we were talking about uh, ranking organically and kind of silos and on brand names. After that discussion and a quick chat to you, Charles, I went and pretty much implemented everything that was suggested on that call to see if we can make a difference in that realm for that keyword that I was trying to rank for. I mean, I've been in the e-commerce game, what, 2030, so like what, 12 years. So yeah, mm, it's been a long stint, but I'm still learning stuff every single day. And I think I guess the brands that aren't growing, they're wondering why they're not growing, but they're not doing anything to growing it. There are some of the brands that I've seen, they reduce budgets and they cut everything, and then they wonder why their traffic's dropped. It's absolutely insane to me. But yeah, and I think when brands talk about scale, like don't talk about scale if you're not raising your budget. Like, oh, we want to scale, but we want to do it on this budget. That's not scaling. That's optimizing on the budget that you've got. Like, sure, you might be able to get more bang for your buck for that budget, but scaling is having a cost per acquisition that you can keep spending and keep acquiring profitably. In some cases, not profitably. It depends what the business has on the back end. So, for example, it might not be profitable to acquire the customer the first time, but you might have lifetime customer value that suggests that that customer is going to come back at least, 7 times based on your data. So, if you can acquire them once and then keep acquiring them, keep getting them to purchase through, your cheaper platforms like email marketing and cheap forms of retargeting, then yeah, you can do that too. I like as much as possible to be profitable on the front end. I just think it makes more sense. But if you're a huge conglomerate, then yeah, you may spend like Coca-Cola. Surely those TV ads, like direct response, are not profitable, but it feeds into a wider ecosystem of keeping their brand relevant in the front of your mind. Like it's the cost that you can't actually measure. Mm, You just have to guess.
Yeah, no, it's more of a focused on brand, isn't it? First and foremost. No, I totally agree. I totally agree. Jimmy was just thinking, going back to the blog that you put together. I'm curious, and I'm sure the audience is curious. What elements did you put on the page? Because I think anyone that's kind of watching or listening in, they can kind of start to reverse engineer that and start building out content for their own store. So you mentioned that you used, was it Blogist? The
Blog.
blog, I always forget the name. Yeah. So
Yeah, so I guess
what?
the format. So this particular article was, top twenty product list. So there was 20 products on there, and we kind of went into depth in each one and what it can be used for, the pros, the cons, the features, the benefits, all that kind of stuff for like 20 different products. Um, and then we had at the very top was a table of contents. So basically, because the article's long, so I want the table of contents at the top in case someone's looking for a specific product. They can just click on that product name and it will just take them straight to that part in the article. I think that's important. If you've got a really long article, especially like table of contents is, um, I think, quite important. And I think I had a video just under that, kind of explaining the background of all the products that we talked about were related. A video kind of explaining where we were coming from for recommending those. And then, yeah, it was literally like a list article after that. But then I made it look appealing. Like I changed color blocks on certain like elements of parts that we were talking about so it stood out a little bit more. We had every time we spoke about a particular product, we had the product titles that we actually sold on the website under that category. So yeah, it was basically just picking kind of the top 20 products, writing about them, having a table of contents up the top, putting in some media like images and videos, and yeah, using, I guess, product tiles. And then we also used kind of a lot of backlinks back to the collection pages for the products that we were talking about too. I still got to update them actually, so I didn't put all of them in at the time because there was a lot, but I've got to put a few more in too.
Nice, nice. And I assumed that you were you targeting a specific kind of main keyword, or were you trying to rank for multiple different keywords within?
Yeah, multiples. We were targeting an influencer and the products that they recommended. It was basically we're targeting a range of keywords around the influencer's name and then the product. So at the top of the article, there was a lot of information about that particular influencer, and then um, every product mentioned that influencer's name and the product just after it, because that's kind of what was being searched for. So yeah, there was a STEM keyword, and then we wanted to get all the long tail ones that were kind of
Yeah, yeah,
following that.
yeah. It makes sense. So you had your STEM kit. It's one. There's like so many different variations of either primary keyword, main keyword, seed keyword. Basically, they're all like one main keyword that you want to focus on with variations that are related to that overarching main keyword. And that's obviously going to help you rank better for the page. I assume also you optimize like the SEO meta title, the meta description, keyword within that,
Yeah,
within those elements as well. Yeah.
yeah. So if I mean this particular client, like hardly any of the collection pages have been touched in terms of that, like meta descriptions and optimizing collection titles. But yeah, if I'm working on something, then I'll always make sure they're done. But it's a lot of work doing like 300 to 400 collection pages.
Yeah, tell me about it. Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. It's one of the things that I'm kind of going through at the moment with one of my clients. It's I'm trying to prioritize what are the most important pages,
Yeah,
because
definitely.
when a client's got upwards of 500 collection pages and then thousands of product pages, um, you can soon, yeah, it's going to take a lot of time to get through that. So it's prioritizing what are the main pages that are going to drive not only the most clicks and traffic, but actually the most revenue. Like looking into the data and establishing what are the biggest drivers of growth.
Yeah, actually, talking about looking into the data, here's a little tip. So a lot of my clients use Hotjar. I don't use Hotjar anymore. It's so if you're not already aware, Hotjar is like it's a heat map software that basically shows you the hotspots on your website where people are clicking. And I was reviewing it the other day, not Hotjar, so I actually use Microsoft Clarity. Microsoft Clarity is free, whereas Hotjar equivalent is $100 a month or something. So if you want a super viable alternative, Microsoft Clarity is amazing. I find it for a free piece of software, it's incredible. So if you're looking for a heat map and you don't kind of know what software to choose, like Microsoft Clarity is really good. But I was running through that the other day and I noticed, oh my gosh, like, because this particular client has at the top nav under the hero image, they've got kind of the icon nav that I like. So basically, when I talk about icon nav, it's a probably like 6 different icons, and if it was an automotive client, for example, like you might have an icon of headlights, and then it'd be headlights, and then wheels, and then an icon of a wheel. So that's what I mean when I'm talking about an icon nav. Anyway, I was looking at Microsoft Clarity and yeah, noticed one out of those 6 icons was getting clicked 10 times more than all the rest. And in fact, that particular one had been clicked more than all the rest combined. And it wasn't the first one, which was interesting. But to me, it's like, okay, I need to get rid of these other 5 because they've hardly been clicked and experiment with some different other options to see if I can get a really good mix of people clicking through into these other collections. Because the ones that are there currently, even though they house the best selling products, they're not being clicked on. So I need to explore some different angles to see if we can drive some more clicks from the homepage. to those other collections, and whether that's renaming them. And yeah, it's something to look at. If you're wondering whether your homepage is doing well or not, then definitely install Microsoft Clarity, and you can kind of heat map what people are actually doing on there.
Yeah, no, that's really good advice. I think something that I've been meaning to look into a bit more with my clients is focusing on that conversion because it's all well. I think e-commerce store owners, they get fixated on traffic, don't they? Traffic. I mean, obviously, we're both in the game of driving more traffic, but if the site is not converting and you're increasing their traffic, then there's a clear issue there.
Yeah, and in saying this too, so
Traffic and squeezing out more.
I read a post this week on from someone that I respect, and they're in the website building game, so they're going to take that kind of approach to what they write about. But they basically said you don't need more traffic, you need to plug the holes in your website conversion rate, which I agree. But once your website's at a certain conversion rate, sure. The thing is, every single website on the internet is going to have a leaky hole somewhere. Like you're not going to have unless you've got 100% conversion rate, then there's opportunities there.
Yeah.
Um, so what I don't like is this narrative that your website has to be converting at this absolutely incredible amount, or you're wasting money. I think I think if you're converting at 5%, you're doing pretty much better than I would say probably 90% of e-commerce stores. 3% is what you kind of want to be aiming for at a minimum. And again, these are rough numbers because it's industry specific. If you're selling really expensive items, then it may not, you may be looking at like 0.5 to 1%, depending on what it is. But generally speaking, if you sell kind of stuff between $50 and $200, you probably want a minimum of a 3%. If it's not, if you're in selling that range and you're at 5%, it's a traffic game after that. I don't care what anyone says. You can always continue to improve the conversion rate, but it's a traffic game after that. If you're not profitable at 5%, there's something wrong. So
Yeah.
in the economics, so there's always an opportunity to improve the conversion rate on your website. Don't let that hold you back from buying more traffic if you're profitable.
No,
And
no, I think you got to do both.
I've seen some horrible sites, like horrible sites that are profitable. So a website person would be like, "Oh, you shouldn't be spending money on ads. This website's horrible. You're leaking conversions everywhere." And it may be true, but sometimes ugly websites can convert. So yeah, I would aim for like as a starting point to get between that 3 to 5% range. And then, there's always, I'm thinking about every single one of my clients now, and there's something that every single one of them could do to improve their conversion rate. So I think if you're going to scale and add like a massive amount to the budget, I think you should probably focus on the website just before that, but don't let it put you off doing it either. And also, like have someone that knows what they're doing when you do conversion rate optimization. You wouldn't believe how many times I've seen like people change their whole website because they think they need a conversion rate optimization, and then the conversion rate drops. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. You just need to improve little things slowly.
Yeah, yeah. I think sometimes, yeah, you're right. I think sometimes, you can make too many drastic changes and then things just drop off a cliff. I think it's good to make those, slow improvements and looking at the data, not just basing it off like a feeling or a gut instinct. Oh, this needs to be changed. The amount of times that I've had discussions with clients. Oh, we've changed this. Well, why have you changed it? Like, have you looked into the data? Do you know, like, was that page actually performing well? But they'll move things around the menu. That was not the wisest move. So I think looking at the data and first and foremost and establishing like, okay, where are the opportunity areas versus just going off a kind of gut instinct. And sometimes you can get those gut instincts that are right, but equally often they could equally yeah, data is key.
Yeah, no, I find a lot of the time you get the business owner thinking he's a CRO designer and wants it to look a certain way and reinvent the wheel. And as I'd say 9 out of 10 times that never works out.
Nah, yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, I've certainly discussions with a few ecom owners myself. So yeah, I definitely know what you're saying there. That's for sure. Yeah, good stuff. So Jimmy, what else have you been working on this week? What's been
To
particular?
be honest, like a lot of just a lot of maintenance for clients, so standard maintenance, nothing like super groundbreaking. But I think like for my own business, like I've been working on my systems more so my to-do lists, project management, that kind of thing. So, and having been a freelancer for so many years, I've pretty much worked on all project management softwares because nearly every client has a different one.
Yeah,
They're adding you to it at some point, but I'm actually building my own now on software called Notion, and I was really hesitant to do Notion previously just because it felt like a massive learning curve. But now with AI, like whenever I want to do something, I was like, hey, this is what I want to do. Tell me exactly step by step how I do it in Notion. And it just tells me. So I don't have to spend hours and hours researching. I told AI what I wanted to do. It tells me how to do it. Then I go into Notion and I just execute it. So and it's creating some really cool things. So I'm like Charles knows how I set out my year. So I do my yearly goals, then from those yearly goals derive quarterly goals. From there I derive monthly goals. From there I derive my weekly goals, and then from those weekly goals is my daily task list. So in Notion, I've been able to create kind of this flow with all the different categories, whether it's this is the yearly goal, this is in the quarterly. And then every time that you're doing daily tasks, you can see exactly what goal it's kind of connected to.
that's
And
cool.
this is really to stop people, or stop myself, I should say, creating a massive to-do list that's not moving the needle. And when I say I do a lot of accountability groups with um, so I'm probably in three at the moment of weekly. But what I notice in their weekly is, it's, you know, take the washing out on Wednesday, go to the supermarket and get this. I'm just like, I just say to them, like, you need to separate this because I don't see on your yearly goals, which is what we're wanting to hit, anywhere about going to the supermarket 52 times a year. I understand that you have to do that, but if you're getting that dopamine hit of just doing tasks in your everyday life that aren't progressing you, then it's wasted because you're not getting closer to any of the goals that you're setting yourself. And I have been asked at least twice. I hate saying, oh, everybody asks. Not everybody asks, but some people ask me, how do you stay motivated when you're working for yourself? It's not a game of motivation. It's a game of, you know, planning and just executing what you're planning. And I think I stay motivated by remembering what it was like working in a 9 to 5 and knowing that I'll never go back there if I just do these tasks that I've set myself. So, but yeah, like that's kind of been what I've been working on in the business, which is probably a little bit different to what we usually talk about. But yeah, because how I've been doing it previously is I have my accountability on Discord, and then I have a channel for my yearly, channel for my quarterly, channel for my weekly, and channel for kind of my daily and monthly. But it's like all these different channels now. I've just got like one long checklist, and then I can change the view to see how I've progressed on the yearly and what's happening underneath that to make sure I'm getting closer to reaching those, I guess.
I like that. So I have my similar version with my like yearly, monthly goals, and I was using it for kind of weekly and daily checklist, to-do list. But I, s- I I was talking to one of my clients, and he was using a tool called Todoist. So
Yeah, I've
to
got that
do,
too.
and then yeah, at the end, and I found that bit to be really good just for doing daily, and weekly checklists. But I do like the way that you've merged everything in with, your
And
overarching goals that's assigned to granularly daily goals. Because you're right, I've been guilty of it. You spend time doing things that actually is that moving the needle towards your grander, bigger goals, or is it just something that you've added on your list and you've ticked it
yeah,
off?
exactly. The other thing I've added, which was cool as well, is an activity log. So everything that I've done for that month, it'll summarize like everything that I've checked off in the monthly kind of activity log, which because I do monthly reports, but sometimes it's like, oh, what did I do in week 1 of this month? And but now I've got kind of an activity log that every time I complete something or check it off the list, it adds it to that monthly activity log of what was completed. So yeah, it's cool to just look back on and see kind of what's actually been done.
Where can I buy the template, Jimmy? That's what I want to know.
I was actually thinking about that while I was building it today.
I'll buy it. I'm thinking I'm hearing you. I'm like, this is good. This sounds good. I want this.
I've still got to clean it up a little bit, so I'll send it through to you when it's finished, Charles, and
Yeah,
you can
that'd be good.
test
Yeah,
it for me.
appreciate that. Yeah, yeah. Next business idea.
But yeah, but I mean, if people are looking to build their own, yeah, if because I find everyone kind of has their own certain way of how they like things laid out. Like I've seen other people's templates, and I just don't like the way it's laid out. Like I need something for me, which is why I've gone and done my own now. But before AI, I wouldn't have been able to. It just would have been well, I would have been able to, but it just would have been hours and hours of kind of researching how to do every little thing. But I mean, AI, not only could you build the software if you wanted to, it also helps you use pre-existing software like pretty efficiently as well.
So it effectively allows you to build out a template from scratch using it through prompts. You just tell it, this is what I'm looking
Yeah,
to
so
achieve.
I tell it exactly what I want to do, and then it tells me step by step how to build it.
Pretty cool. Yeah, it's amazing what you can do,
Yeah.
isn't it? Yeah, it's
And
crazy.
then if I
To
if
think,
I if I don't understand something, then you can ask it, can you explain this a little bit more thoroughly, please? I can't find this section on the page. And it's like, yes, it's here in this corner and this and that, and it like goes through and explains it more thoroughly as well. So yeah, if you're ever not, it's AI is great because there's no dumb questions, and even if you do have a dumb question, no one else is going to hear it except a computer.
no, exactly.
Charles,
No, that sounds
you
good.
just froze a bit for me then, but I think we're back. I can't tell whether it's my computer
Yeah,
that's lagging a bit or your end.
no, I'm having exactly the same buy side as well. I think, yeah, it's all good. It's all good. No, no,
Luckily,
like I said, sorry, God.
I
Sorry,
was about to
Jim.
say, luckily with the power of Riverside, it's all these videos are recorded locally. So if myself or Charles cut out, you actually won't see it in the final recording. Or if we're frozen, on each other's screens, it shouldn't be frozen in the end result.
Yeah, no, I think it'll probably just be a slight. You might see a slight delay. If we're talking at the same time, it's probably because the other person's cut out, or we think they're cut out on the other side. So bear with us. Plus, we don't do any editing on these.
Yeah.
We are literally just we throw it up pretty much unedited,
I
raw,
think that's one of the
unfiltered.
things too. Like I mean, even business owners creating content for their e-commerce store, they won't film it because they think they have to heavily edit it. Just get it up there and see what's working, and then do more of that. And yeah, for Charles and I, it's just putting it up there. And Charles has been a lot better with it than I have, like creating short clips and putting them on his social medias and things like that. It's probably something that I need to invest a little bit more time in. But yeah, I mean, if I do decide to do it, I've got what episode are we on now, Charles? I've probably got about 20 hours of content that's up there now to go through to have a look at some shorts.
Yeah, I think we're coming up. We've really reached our first. Next week will be episode 20. Yeah,
I think I'm not sure if Paul messaged you actually, but I think he wants to join us next week. So
yeah, he did.
the so those that were listening a couple of weeks ago, so Paul owns kind of an I guess it's almost like a call center. Like you'd ring up the business, and instead of the business not answering or calls going elsewhere, this AI picks up. It can book appointments. It can take notes. It can do everything. It's insane. Um, yeah, if you've got a receptionist that you think's overpaid, then this will replace them overnight.
Yeah. Well, I mean, thinking about an example just this week, so I inquired, there's a co-work space which is literally just below the building I'm in, and I could just walk in and inquire, but I found their WhatsApp and I messaged them, and this was like 2 days ago. No response. Like, I just thinking if there was an AI that was integrated that I had and probably get me signed up or at least book me an appointment to go and view the co-work space. So it's just not that it's gonna stop me from signing up and going down, but it doesn't give a great first impression when I just get there's no response. You just feel like you've been ghosted. So
I think speed wins in those industries. I'm thinking specifically for myself, and just we had to get our hot water system replaced last year, and I messaged. I mean, I sent an email through to 5 companies, and one rang me back instantly, and that was the one that I went with. And then one of them rang back a week later. I'm like, mate, it's already installed, but thanks. So yeah, I think speed wins. But if you're not, see, a lot of these businesses are people are emailing in on the weekends, and they don't have staff until Monday. Like, if you had this in place for things like that, it would absolutely, like, probably add millions to some of these businesses, to be fair.
yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, there's so many opportunities, especially even within e-commerce stores as well, to integrate this type of technology. So yeah, it'd be interesting to have him on next week. See, maybe he could show us a couple of demos and go through some clients that he's working with at the moment and see how he's integrating it.
Yeah, and saying that too, if we've got people in our audience that are listening to this and want to, in the so whatever you'd want to come on and talk about would have to be relevant in some capacity to the e-commerce space. But yeah, if you want to join me and Charles for a chat, we speak we film this every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Melbourne time. Probably be changing a little bit soon because I think daylight savings is ending or finishing soon, so it might switch an hour either way. But yeah, we always film on a Tuesday night. So if there's any knowledge that you want to impart onto the audience or talk about your own e-commerce experience, yeah, I think we're pretty open to that.
Yeah, for sure. And even if you've got a site and you want us to take a look at it, we've done a deep dive into e-commerce stores before, haven't we? On one or two of the episodes where we go through and give the audience our thoughts on what can be improved on the site. So we're more than happy to
It's
do that
really
if
it's
you.
really funny in saying that one of the sites that we actually spoke about previous, I won't say which one, but one of the sites we've spoken about previously, I have no connection to this site, or I didn't know the owners or anything. It actually came across my desk from one of my referral partners recently. I was just like, are you joking? Like, sometimes the world works in mysterious ways. But it was an interesting kind of first discussion because they were asking, like, are you aware of the brand? It's like, I am aware of the brand, actually, and I actually spoke about your brand on YouTube about 3 months ago. So yeah, it's interesting. Like, I'd never reached out to them personally or anything. So yeah, the universe works in mysterious ways sometimes. I'll say that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, yeah, like I said, if you do want us to take a look, firstly, join our Facebook group, Shopify Marketing Secrets, and shoot us a message or DS. You can DM either myself or Jimmy
It's a bit quiet in there. I
and
think
send across your
me and
site. We'll have a
Charles are
look.
the only ones that kind of post in there regularly. So if you do have a question, like, it will be answered quickly because Charles and I are both in there to help and provide kind of engagement and help you with whatever you're needing help with. So yeah, at the moment, I think it'll continue to build slowly. We haven't put any paid advertising into it or anything like that at the moment, but yeah, I think it's growing. I think we're almost at 50 people at the moment. So there's 50 ecom people hanging out in there at the moment. So yeah, come and join us.
Absolutely. Yeah, the more the merrier. Jimmy, I was going
We'll
to
talk.
say, sorry, go on.
I was going to say, I've heard a bit of commentary this week and I found it interesting. It's the typical, e-commerce coach saying, oh, avoid agencies, they're the worst. And then it's, freelancers are usually in the same boat, avoid big agencies, you're going to get the junior, they're not going to spend time on your accounts. But yeah, the more I've heard, I mean, if you're a massive company, why would you avoid a big agency? I mean, they're trying to attract these high-level e-commerce people, and they want them to do everything themselves. It's crazy.
Mm,
I mean, big agencies have a place, 100%. I would say above all else, You want to avoid bad agencies. I mean, there are some phenomenal large agencies, and there are some horrible large agencies. Just like there are some horrible freelancers, and there are some phenomenal freelancers. But also, there are some horrible e-commerce coaches too. Like you've got some people in the space that have been drop shipping for 3 months and made 10 grand, and now all of a sudden, that's more money that they've seen in their life, and they want to create these courses to show everyone else how they did it. Like it's crazy. So you you can get, I guess you can get good help at all levels. You just want to avoid the bad ones, and you need to do your research. Like as much as I hate seeing businesses getting burnt by larger agencies, it's like, well, why did you choose them? They promised this, this, and this. And I will say, if someone's going to lock you in for 12 months, don't sign. If you're trying to build a relationship with someone and it's not going well after month 2 and you're locked in for 12 months, that's a horrible position to be in for an agency. Sorry, not for an agency. The agency couldn't care less. It's a horrible position to be in from a business owner. And even I know someone in our community who was paying like 4.5 grand for Facebook marketing services, which is a lot. Like it's over 50 grand for the year. And I think they got maybe like 10 sales for the whole year. It was ridiculous. You may as well just giving away all the stuff for free. So, but they've just gone to, if you hear award-winning agency, like just ignore that. Like I think every agency on the planet has won some kind of award at some point. It means absolutely nothing. It's some nice marketing spiel that they like to talk about, and avoid bad agencies. That's what I want to say. Avoid bad freelancers. Avoid bad e-commerce coaches. And like it's just rife in the industry at the moment. Like I log on to some Google Ads accounts, and it's an e-commerce store, and their merchant center isn't even set up. They're running search ads for an e-commerce store. I was like, yeah, I could probably triple your revenue on this account. And I'm always conservative too. Like I don't want to say a number and then not hit it. So I usually say a number that I'm pretty confident that I'd easily hit. But yeah, in terms of business owners need to do their research, or at least like pay, pay consulting, like pay to talk to someone, or jump in the group and ask us what you should be looking for, because we've seen every single red flag you could imagine in the agency world. So if you're not sure if you're getting a good deal, or Charles has a great directory of freelancers that he uses and has worked with before. I work with my own referral partners too, based on people that I work with and trust and have worked with for a long time. But yeah, like I hate seeing especially small businesses get screwed trusting this large agency, and they're often on small retainers, but because they're on that small retainer, they're getting the marketing person straight out of university that's never done it themselves, and they're learning on their dollar.
Yeah.
And yeah, like do your research, make some good decisions. Don't avoid agencies, avoid bad agencies. Don't avoid freelancers, avoid bad freelancers. And don't avoid e-commerce coaches if you need one. Just avoid bad ones. Go to ones with a proven track record. They're not that hard to find.
No, I think there's bad actors in every space, whether it's like I said, whether it's a large agency or a one man agency freelancer, or an e-commerce coach. You're right. I think it's doing the research, and referrals. I think for me, getting a referral is always the best approach. If you know someone that you trust within one area, and they can refer you someone that they know, I think that's always a better approach than trying to do research cold. Not saying that you can't find someone like that. I think you need to really study them. Typically, any time that I've hired a coach or consultant, certainly over the last 5 years, it's always been because I've really consumed their content, really spent the time. I've not just made an impulse decision. I've really studied them, and something's really resonated with me. And I have that kind of intuition that this is the right move. But then that's also come from, sometimes I've hired badly in the past. Sometimes it does come from a bit of experience as well. So, but you're right. You've got to especially when you're hiring someone that's going to have a direct impact on the growth of your business. It's an important decision, and it's not something that you should take lightly.
Yeah, and it's not a magic pill as well. I seeing, I'm I get people coming to me at times wanting me to run their ads, and they say they've got like a $500 budget, and they expect to be, doing 100K a month off $500 budget. It's like, I don't know what planet you're living on, but it's not the same one as me. But yeah, I mean, um, yeah, I think people think advertising is like a silver bullet. It's work. Like it doesn't just you don't just magically turn on Google and Facebook ads and you're a millionaire all of a sudden. I think that's how some people come into this e-commerce space. Yeah, I'll find a good product and then I'll just, spend money on Facebook ads and I'll, make my first million. Don't get me wrong, it probably has happened like that in a few outlier cases, but I'd say for the vast, vast majority, it doesn't happen like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think I know a few e-commerce owners, and it's certainly not a straightforward. They've had their ups and downs, dealing not just on the marketing side, but the logistics side of things, and managing. It's not the easiest business to navigate. That's for sure.
No, there's a lot of moving parts, but yeah, it's kind of what we're trying to help people break down. Yeah, I think we should get someone on for the Facebook ads soon. I'll reach out to my network because that's probably, I mean, Facebook ads is a massive part of the e-commerce equation. I just don't do enough of it to give people like super valuable information around it. I will say since the ISO 14 update, it's kind of like the super advanced targeting that Facebook did have is kind of not there as much anymore, and it's more around creating quality creative. But yeah, I'm interested from a Facebook specialist because there's a lot of going around. Oh, you need to be constantly creating new content. I want to know one whether that's true or not. And I mean, creating massive amounts of content is never going to hurt, but is it required? I don't know. And also the AI, the impact that AI is having at the moment in creating that creative, because it seems like the barrier to entry in creating, especially static creative, is much lower now. So brands are able to create static kind of ads in the hundreds and split tests. So yeah, I'll reach out to my network and some of the Facebook freelancers that I've worked with and see if we can get one of them on for a chat in a couple of weeks as well.
Yeah, that would be good. Yeah, it's not an area that I've had much experience with myself. So yeah, it'd be really interesting to get someone who's focused on that, and because there's no doubt that meta ads, you can drive a really few that do it right consistently and do it right over a long period of time. So there's definitely an art to it, that's for sure.
Yeah, 100%. I think we're just short of the hour mark, Charles, but unless you've got something else that you wanted to cover for the last 5 minutes or anything else that you wanted to say, we might wrap up unless there was
No, I think
anything
I
else you
think
wanted
I'm
to
all
cover.
good for this.
Perfect. Yeah, for me this week, I'll probably create a few more blog articles based on the early success I had on that earlier one on the client. Still, obviously, I'm still like 90% of my day is Google Ads work still, but also looking more into the backlinking for if you've got suppliers that are supplying you the product and they do have like a stockist list, try to get on there with the backlink, especially if you've got a lot of them. Like some of my clients have hundreds of them. So if we could create like an email template and just send it out to 100 of their suppliers and hope that, I don't know, 10 of them put on a link to their website, I mean, that'd be a win.
Yeah, I really like that idea. It's something that yeah, it links. I always first look at what are the quick wins, the easy wins, opposed to things that are going to take a lot more work, like the digital PR campaigns and
Yeah.
getting on guest blogs and stuff. It takes work to get that. So look at your existing network or your suppliers or the partners within your business and see if you can get on their websites first and foremost.
No, that sounds like a good place to wrap it up. So if you guys want to come and chat to us more, come to Shopify Marketing Secrets on Facebook. Charles made me change the header this week, so that's updated. Yeah, you can check it out there.